Just after 12:30, welcome back to Central Valley Talk. It is Cinco de Mayo, May 5th already. Hello there, happy Wednesday. I'm Austin Reed coming to you live from our Tower District studios at Central Valley Talk. We've had a great last half hour of television for you today because we are focusing on local artists all across the Central Valley and the San Joaquin Clay and Glass Association spring sale. Ren Lee, who we're going to catch up with in just a bit, she organized this hour to introduce you to some of the best artists all across Fresno. And they're going to be out at the spring sale, the vendors market, for Mother's Day, because Mother's Day is on Sunday, this coming Sunday. So if you need a beautiful, wonderful, amazing gift for mom, check it out, the San Joaquin Clay and Glass Association spring sale. My next guest is Hal Raines with Clay Mix joining us. Hello there.
Hi.
How you doing?
Wonderful. Thank you for asking us to be here.
We are so happy that you are here. This has been a fun last 30 minutes of programming, and I want to talk a little bit about you and your story with Clay Mix. Go ahead. Okay,
my story started with one of my wife's good friends who is a teacher. You know, she and my wife taught together for many, many years. And she was going to have a show, a pottery show, and she wanted us to come. And I kept thinking, well, too much to do, too much to do. But she went, my wife went, she said, you've got to go with me next time. So I did. And while I was there, I just loved the teacher. The guy who was teaching the class is Craig Easter. And I thought, big guy, bigger personality, crazy white hair. Like, he's just one of those people with the kind of energy you go, like, I really got to, I have to know him. Yeah. I don't know what there was about him, but he was so electric that he just kind of reeled you in, He was casting some baits, and I bit and thought, oh my God, I love doing this. So much fun. And then here you are. Yeah, here I am. We're looking at some of your beautiful pictures. We've got a number of them. Talk about this one. Well, that's a covered dish that is porcelain. And one of the techniques you use when you can finish stuff is chattering, right? So, I like to layer stuff with slip. Slip is basically a liquidized sort of a clay. So whatever the clay body is, usually it's the same sort of clay that you're using, but not always. Anyway, so that was a porcelain slip on top, and then I used an underglaze, which is just a different kind of clay that's colored actually with cement stain. And so then you use a tool to vibrate really quickly, and it leaves those little chatter marks. And then you spray it when you're ready to go. People don't realize how much time and energy goes into this. Yeah, it's a lot of effort. Yeah. But it's a lot of fun. Yeah, well, it's beautiful. Next picture, we are going to be looking at this. It's a plate, right? Right. It's actually a wall hanging. Oh, okay, perfect. And how long did this take you to do? That was quite a while. It's a different type of clay. It's called trail mix, and I get it in Oregon at Georgie's Pottery. So, I'm from Oregon. That's cool. Yeah. Whereabouts? Portland area? Or? Yeah, Portland. Okay, very good. Good guess. Yeah. So, that's where I get it. And this is different kinds of underglaze again. And then I had a layer of this stuff, just some gooey clay in the middle that you basically wipe out most of the time. But this, I just kind of use my hand to sweep it across and then put the underglaze on top. Then I used a rib, and basically a rib is just for shaping the clay or, fine-tuning little tweaky pieces, that you want to smooth. And so I just bounced it, with just the right tempo. So I ended up with a 7-pointed star, which with, the soft edges, it just came out really remarkably. And it wasn't intending to go 7, but that's just that's where it landed. Yeah, just the cadence. Like, wow, great. Next picture, we are going to be looking at, what's this? This is a wall piece, and it is one of my favorite weird clays. It's called Grogzilla. Huh. Grogzilla. And basically, when you fire this clay, first off, the clay itself is kind of grubby.
Okay.
And it has pieces of feldspar in there that when you fire those, they pop in a way, sort of like popcorn. You may get the surface pretty, smooth, but you'll still have little chunks of like rock in there that you feel. Anyway, so when it goes through the firing, they kind of pop, and you end up with these weird little bumps like this one does.
Now, between the pieces and the art that you do you like to really just kind of give it your all?
I think every artist does. And I think it's kind of like I'm sure you know who Marilyn Monroe is, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I mean, really, almost everybody does.
Maybe 15-year-olds don't.
Yeah, right. The newbies, the young
newbies,
kids.
Yeah.
Anyway, but she always would get dressed, and then her thing as she left was to take one accessory off. Well, with clay, you have to be able to do that and realize, I'm giving it my best, but back up just a little bit, because it's easy to think, okay, this is good, more is better. So there's that hesitancy that you need to have so that your best work doesn't become overworked. So that's the thing. When I was starting out, one of my masters was Garrett Masterson, and he would always say, hear your voice say too far, just tone it back a little bit. So that was part of my discipline, was to say, what would Garrett be saying to me right now? Am I doing too much, or so I just kind of had to learn that way to push something aside and say, okay, enough.
Yeah, like what would Jesus do?
Yeah, there you go. Same thing.
This is you in action right here. This is
right.
cool.
Thank you. Yeah, that was me working at home. I have 2 wheels, and that particular wheel is one that belonged to Craig Easter. You remember the guy that I told you about?
Yeah.
Love that guy. Unfortunately, he passed, and then that's how we got Garrett to come into our studio as our mentor at that point.
Right.
I was very lucky to have 2 fantastic guys who spent a lot of time with me to help me develop
and
my
they were
skills.
kind of your mentors.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And both of them were fun in very different ways. Craig was a pastor's son, right? And Garrett had a lot of church background, but he wasn't the same way. And the looks, the way they looked at pieces and looked at people, they saw people kind of like the parables where we're all, we're clay and the potter's like Jesus, and the whole idea that whatever we become, it's because we've allowed God to work in our lives. It's the same thing with the clay. The clay doesn't become just because it's clay. It's what we do with that clay.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then this is you. Is this at your backyard?
Yeah, that's me in the backyard working, and all that orange stuff is basically raw clay material. Whatever you do with it, there are chemicals. And Nanette and Ren, which Ren will be here in a second, she can speak to the chemistry, because things that you never think about. Specific colors give you, or specific chemicals give you different colors. And the temperature with which you're going to fire, stoneware like dinnerware is completely different than, say, a regular old cone 6 porcelain versus high temperature, which is what Nanette was speaking about just a bit ago in Bertha. So really, that has a lot to do with it, the temperature of the chemicals. And
it seems to me like you're learning every day.
Oh, even if it's just going to YouTube and finding one of the guys that you'll really enjoy. One of the guys I follow really closely is Tim C. He's really, really funny. And the way he approaches clay, he writes a story, a narrative that he carries out in each piece. So when I watch him or I email him, the way he processes pieces is so different than the way I look at clay.
Yeah.
So you're learning every day, yeah.
Fascinating. We're running out of time, but I want to... You have a show on CMAC?
Yes.
Tell us about that real quick.
Okay, the show we have on CMAC is called Artful TV, and Terry Dolph, you probably know, is a longtime producer. He worked for CMAC, and he's a professor at State. But anyway, he liked my work. His wife has some of my pieces, and he loves Eileen Imperatrice, and they've known each other forever. And she did have a show on CMAC quite a while ago. But anyway, we look at Valley artists too. So Rinley has been, she'll be with you in just a second. She's been our show. We have great artists, sculptors. You know, she is definitely one of the most remarkable sculptors I've had the joy of knowing, and she's still alive. That's even better.
Yeah, exactly.
So our pieces are affordable. You know, it's just a wonderful thing where we have valleys like Jackie Ryle. I think you probably have interviewed Jackie. She's a fun retired professor from state, and she's even though she says she's retired, she's never really retired.
Never really, yeah.
So she's great, high energy, and she was our first guest. And since then, we've had puppeteers, we've had people who make the Dia de los Muertos, you know, the figures that are the skeletons and stuff that have big shows in L.A. You know, so we've been very fortunate to have grand people with lots of profiles. So.
Artful.tv, that's where people can learn more. And Hal will be at the San Joaquin Clay and Glass Association Spring Sale. Again, it's May 8th, 10 to 4. Check out his work. I love it. Looks great. Everybody, and oh yeah, show that real quick.
And just a little piece. This is one that I just took out of the kiln. I do a lot of carving on my pieces. It's graffito, you know. There's carving on raw clay, and if you put something over it, then carve into it, it's called sgraffito, which is basically, we get the word from Italian, as in graffiti.
Sure.
And that's kind of adopted into clay world. And so this is one of mine. This will be there at the show, too. So
very good. Check it out. All right, Hal, thanks again. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm Austin Reed. You're watching Central Valley Talk. Coming up right after the break, Ren Lee will join us inside the Tower District Studios. Hang tight.